My man, I have spotted Lambert, but I'm not going to give it away. Keep those eyes peeled and you could win a great prize this morning. Right now, though, we are putting the spotlight on mothers in general, specifically working moms as well, and perhaps there are no greater job in the world than being a working mother. I always say that mothers in general, whether you're working or not, you are true superheroes. And the pressures of giving it your all at work and then having to go home and tend to your family and being the best mom you possibly can, it can push a lot of women to the edge and very close to burnout as well. It becomes a reality. So this morning we're hanging out with Wilmi Hudsonberg from Pharma Dynamics to just talk about this issue and help women, just give some advice in terms of taking it easy and how to manage this work and family life as well. Wilmi, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you. So there was a survey done with 900 moms, and this is the results. I just want to quickly read it. 38% felt that they were often stretched to the breaking point, and 60 have really have admitted to having to catch up with work either late at night or even over weekends. So in terms of the mental well-being of women, how does it affect? How does this work-family life kind of affect women, and what does it mean for them in terms of their physical health?
The job descriptions of moms in general have just exploded over the last couple of decades. Back in the day, moms were considered caregivers, taking care of the home, taking care of the children. These days, they also need to work, and they're entering the workforce at quite a rate. The thing is, there isn't enough support for them dealing with all the stress and coping with the judgment of being a working mom, the stresses of dealing with their children and making sure that their lift clubs are organized, that they have everything that they need to have, and then also remembering the mince for the spaghetti bolognese that you need to make tonight. Sure. Juggling all of those balls in the air and not having help or assistance with their household chores is starting to have a strain.
I can definitely see it. I mean, in my own relationship as well. My wife works part-time as well, but it is very, very tough for the two kids, to try and manage just the home environment alone. So I can only imagine having to step into a working environment as well. Is it possible to find a balance? Can women find a balance within all of this?
The golden question. I think that women in general, specifically South African women, we are so proud, and we don't want to admit that it is difficult and that we are struggling. And I think we've got still a way to go with employees supporting them, making sure that there is more flexibility at work, maybe considering better half-day opportunities or maybe more flexible working hours. So we still have a way to go.
I mentioned earlier, these pressures can really push one close to the edge, where burnout becomes a reality. What are some of the effects of burnout? What are some of the things that you need to look out for, and why should we just not brush it off, because it is rather serious?
It is very serious. For all the specific stats on the survey, you can go to pharmadynamics.co.za. But just to mention a few that the moms raised: that anxiety, that judgment, whether for judging themselves, but also judgment from fellow moms or the employees for having to say, listen, I can't stay here till late, I need to go home and fetch the children. Also insomnia, being unable to sleep, or maybe feeling that sense of worthlessness, wanting to sleep all the time. So all of that is having an effect, and we need to look out for our moms. As men, we need to acknowledge it, but also as fellow women, we need to acknowledge that it is difficult, that we're all going through the same thing.
No, I really take my hat off to moms in general, but from you, a leading pharmaceutical company, what advice would you be able to give to women out there, whether they are working or not, to really just try and find a balance amidst all of the craziness that it is to raise kids?
Yes. From a work perspective, maybe open the conversation with your employee if your job allows for you to be more flexible. From a home perspective, maybe tonight is a good night. Sit your partner down and maybe divide the chores in the house. Maybe one week your husband can cook and another week you can cook. And then also there is support out there. You can phone Pharma Dynamics toll-free helpline on 0800 205 026 for more support.
That's it. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that it's a big topic and there's a lot of discussion that can take place around it. But I think once again, big up to all of the mothers out there that really pulls a really heavy weight when it comes to working environment and also just looking after the family. Because over the last few days as well, we've asked on our social media websites, you as a working mother, how do you go about balancing your life and your work, and maybe what tips and advice would you have for other women out there? We've got a couple of comments here. The first one we have from Vonis Akurat Rashida says, I'm a mother of 2 and the youngest is 4 months old. I started working and I'm really struggling. I'm married, but my husband is also very tired. It comes back to the fact that it is a team effort if you are in that setup as well. And then Talian Scott says, I'm a single parent raising my 2 daughters plus my baby brother who's 18. I also work a full-time job, so a 10-minute break in the bathroom is quality time for me. Lol, there we go. 10 minutes in bathroom quality time. I can fully understand it. But keep those comments coming on our Facebook page and also on Expresso's Twitter account at Expresso Show, of course, using that hashtag Expresso Show. Check it out, and we would love to connect with you. Share your thoughts and feelings and also your messages of support for the women out there. Right now, though, let's see what is still ahead on your Feel Good Breakfast Show.